Okay, thank you, Mauricio. I think we agreed that I would go first. I wanted to start out by telling people a little bit about myself. I originally I grew up in DC. I graduated from Elizabeth Seton High School, which is a Catholic school. I spent the majority of my time in school, though, in DC public schools, but I was a product of DSEG. And in the 10th grade, they were going back and forth. So my mother moved me to Catholic school. Well, when I decided I wanted to go to college, I wanted to go to Smith College, a predominantly white institution in Massachusetts. At that time, the nuns at Elizabeth Seton felt that I should go to a Black college. And you know what that told me? That they didn't see the possibilities in that little Black girl from DC because they were not going to do a recommendation. Fast forward, I went on to Smith without the recommendation, graduated with a degree in math, went to law school, graduated and began working for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. I worked there for almost 5 years, but my real passion was in education. And so I had an opportunity to go to work for the US Department of Education. And at that time, what I did was appeals of civil rights complaints. I was the chief attorney in the Boston Regional Office, the deputy and the acting director in the Office for Civil Rights in Philadelphia. And I came to Washington as head of the Policy Institute, the acting director of the At-Risk Institute, and later I retired from the National Assessment of Educational Progress. So I have 34 years in education and or civil rights. But what I really was interested in, I observed from doing a mentoring program over here at the Blake High School, and this was around 2014. I noticed the disparities in discipline. Well, this is something that I thought we had corrected back in 1997 when I was the director of the Office for Civil Rights in Philadelphia, the acting director. But as I noticed the difference in treatment of the Black students and Brown students from the white students, I felt that I should be able to do something about that. And there were two incidents that were particularly troublesome to me. One had to do with a child being disciplined for putting her purse in the chair. And apparently the teacher wanted it on the floor. And if anybody knows, they know in the Black community, there is a superstition about putting your purse on the floor. And the other had to do with what I would call body shaming because of an outfit a young lady had on, whereas another student of a different race had on the same outfit and was not disciplined. So when I saw all of these things going on, and at the same time, as I said, I was running a mentoring program dealing with a lot of issues of feeling inferior about things that were going on. And so I decided that I would run for the Board of Education. I later expanded that program while I was running to Springbrook High School, and we had great success. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about what my priorities are currently for the Board of Education. And they really haven't changed. People said, well, weren't those your priorities before? Yes, but we got interrupted by COVID. So a lot of them have not been met. And I want to stay on until I see some actual movement in a positive direction. I think we were making those moves, but again, like I said, we got interrupted. So the first thing, I have a real concern about equitable distribution of programming in the county because I live over here in East County and the same opportunities are not available to students over here that are available in other parts of the county. People would say, well, isn't that true other places too? Yes, it is. There's certain spots in Gaithersburg and other areas. It's true. I also would like to get back to working on seeing how we can expand pre-K. We know that early exposure to education of 4-year-olds improves their outcomes. I want to get back to measuring the effectiveness of programs. That got interrupted. Clearly, we've got to do that because I do believe we probably have some programs that need to be shut down because they're not showing anything. And one thing that we know is being changed is reading. We're going to structured reading based on a research model. And I think that that's very important. I also want to expand access to evidence-based social and emotional supports. And last but not least, I want to work on improving the opportunity gap, which is something that I said we've been working on for years, but we need to make some actual advancement in it. So I'll stop right there and let my counterpart, Ms. Silvestre, talk.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Muy buenas tardes. Thank you to the Chamber, Montgomery County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this information session. I think it's a great idea for the residents of Montgomery County to get to know the people that are in office and running for office as well. So a little bit about myself. I am originally from Guatemala. I came when I was 8 years old. As you know, there was a Cold War conflict happening all over Latin America, and my family had to leave. I didn't speak English. We came with tourist visas, and those expired soon after, so we became undocumented. And we were just starting over, starting from scratch. I was fortunate that my family got political asylum when I was, I think, 16, 17 years old. And so I was able to apply for financial aid. I was able to go to college at the in-state tuition rate. And I wonder sometimes what would have happened to me if I didn't have access to be able to pay for college. I mean, you know, the bachelor's degree is the fastest way to the middle class. And so I have a near and dear place in my heart for students that are in that situation. And so I do that work at Montgomery College. I am director of community engagement at Montgomery College, and my job is to help people connect with education, either more workforce training because they need more skills to get a better job, or start the degree side, or continue with the degree side. And so my work takes me out into the community, and I help people connect with the college. I am the mother of two girls. One is a graduate of MCPS. She is at the University of Maryland. And my youngest daughter is a 9th grader in the school system. So I also bring the parent perspective, the user perspective. When a snow day is called last minute, I also used to have to scramble for childcare, just like everybody else. I, like many families, dealt with online learning for 18 months. That was very challenging, and as a board member and as a parent. And so I bring that perspective as well. My priorities, like Ms. Wolff, and actually our leaders, I think that our community has banded together around preschool. We understand the importance of preschool and early care and education. Mauricio, the achievement gap begins in kindergarten. The majority of low-income students in Montgomery County are not ready for kindergarten when they do that assessment. Why? There's lots of reasons, but one of them is middle-income families can afford high-quality childcare. They put them in nursery schools and childcare where the teachers are highly trained. There's a curriculum. You can't compare that to a child that a neighbor is watching them during the day because their parents have to go to work. And so there's an achievement gap that's happening early on. And as I said, it impacts where our students start. And so that is a community issue. Like I said, the blueprint for Maryland's future, which is Maryland's education reform effort, supports it. So now we just have to make it happen. That's one of the things that I'm so excited about if I am reelected to be on the board, is to really see that become a reality in Montgomery County in Maryland. It's not going to be easy. We need more classrooms. Our schools are already overcrowded. So where are we going to put these additional pre-K rooms? We need more workers. The childcare industry was really hurt by the pandemic. Many closed. So we need more workers. We need, and finally, we need the funding. It's going to be costly. And so we really have to rally together to make sure that our local, state, and federal leaders, if we can get it, rally around early care and education and preschool. The other thing that I find is a big priority of mine is high expectations and rigor. We too often in our American school system, children in poverty were not challenged. They were allowed to stay in on-level classes or below-level classes. And so this board is very committed to making sure that our Black and brown children and our children in poverty are, if they pass the test that shows that they are high math students, they should most definitely be in the most advanced classes. And sometimes we don't do that. We don't place them in the most advanced classes. If you are not being challenged all along the way, you're not going to be ready for college and career when you graduate. And so it's really important that we have high expectations for all of our students. Every child in the school system can achieve, at their highest levels. We have to change our mindset and make sure that we're checking our biases and that we're treating students the same in terms of high expectations for all. This board is also very supportive of career and technical education. There are great jobs out there that don't require a college degree, but they do require some post-secondary training. So if you want to become an auto mechanic, if you want to learn how to fix air conditioning, how to install solar panels, I am a big proponent of making sure that we expose our children, our students, to those types of career options as well. So they have choices. They can become an auto mechanic and choose to do that after high school, or they can go to college. They should be prepared to do both. And so our school system has really expanded the career and technical education options, and I want them to continue. And I want every student to have a post-high school graduation plan. What are you going to do after you graduate? Are you going to go to college? Okay, here are the steps to do that. No, I want to learn how to fix cars. Okay, that's great. Here are the steps that you need in order to do that. I want to start working because I have to support my family. All right, do you have a resume? Do you know what to expect in an interview? Et cetera, et cetera. So every student, the graduation is a great finish and end goal, but there's, of course, we know there's a lot more that we need to help our students so that they're very prepared for the workforce and to continue their education. And finally, I'll end with recruiting and retaining our teachers and education staff and leaders. We are a people institution. 92% of our budget is staff. $3.9 billion. If we don't have people, we can't run the school system. And even before the pandemic, there was a national shortage of teachers. Now there's national shortage of social workers and psychologists. And every school system in the DMV is looking for the same talent, the same types of teachers, the same types of school personnel, bus drivers. We saw shortages this year. And so we have to get ahead of this. We have to be more proactive. We have to be more creative. We have to incentivize this more. And so I've always been a proponent for a Grow Your Own program, where we are encouraging our own MCPS graduates to go into the fields that we need them here in our school system: teachers, psychologists, counselors, social workers, STEM teachers, of course. And so for the first time ever, this program has launched in MCPS. And I think it's critical that we help these students go get their education and come back and teach and work, not just teachers, and work in our school system. So I will stop there, and thanks so much to get the opportunity.